It has been a long, it has been a long week, but we're finally at that point where we get to wrap it all up. I look forward to relaxing and getting ourselves back together on the weekend. It's a feel-good Friday morning. You're tuned into the smoothest dial on Radio Smooth 98.1, where we love music and we love life as well. This is Ayokunmi ready to welcome you into a deep dive into what's been going on in the news cycle, the big stories in the papers across Nigeria. Welcome into Freshly Pressed. It's going to be interactive. It always is. If you're just tuning in for the first time, you are most welcome. What we do here is we take a look at the stories that are making the rounds in papers from the Punch, the Guardian, Premium Trust, Daily Trust, and so on and so forth. We get analysis and we take your thoughts on contributions as well. We look forward to always hearing from you. So please do join us on WhatsApp and on YouTube as well. You can find us on YouTube at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Also, the WhatsApp number. If you haven't saved it, then you definitely need to have it on speed dial. 0911 999 0981 0911 999 All right. Let me introduce my analysts for the morning. It's a full house. The more the merrier, as far as I'm concerned. You already know it's a Friday. So, AB Bozimo and, of course, Joseph Obari are joining us. AB, good morning to you. Great to have you on the show.
Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, Joseph. And good morning, my esteemed Mr. C. And all the
So,
wonderful
Joseph,
listeners out there.
yes, indeed. Joseph, good morning to you. Great to have you on the show as well.
Good morning, Ayo. Good to see you again. Good morning, AB. Good morning, Mr. C, and our very, very enlightened listeners. You're welcome to the show.
Yes, indeed. And Mr. C on a Friday morning, Mr. C, good morning to you.
Good morning, Naya. Good morning, Navy. Good morning, Joseph. Good morning, wonderful listeners. Let's dive into the stories.
All right, let's dive into the stories. And we're going to begin talking about Kwara State. Yes, it has been in the news cycle for the last couple of days. Hey, it is a big, big deal. And we need to talk about this one. The Vanguard is where we're stepping into. Now, very interesting developments coming out here, AB. The head of the Waro village in Kwara State, Umar Salihu, has said that terrorists attacked his community for nearly 10 hours before security forces arrived, leaving scores dead, and the village was razed. Now, speaking during an interview on Arise News yesterday, Saliu said distress calls to authorities were made shortly after the attack began about 5 p.m., but soldiers only arrived about 3 a.m. the following morning. He also claimed that sensitive intelligence may have been compromised as he had reported a threat letter to security agencies. Now, meanwhile, the defense headquarters said troops were promptly dispatched to dominate the general areas with robust patrols and surveillance, among other security measures, for about 2 weeks, as it expressed shock over the tragic loss of innocent lives in what it called cowardly terrorist attacks on Wara and the neighboring communities in Kayama in Kwara State. Maybe it is ridiculous when you think about it. A 10-hour response time between when the distress call was made and when security forces actually arrived. The defense headquarters said they had that troops were promptly dispatched to dominate the general areas with robust patrols, whatever that actually means. But what has happened, and once again, we are back at this table singing a similar song.
Ayo, I will first of all begin by praying for the souls of the 170 odd people who were murdered for no reason apart from they woke up Nigerian. That's their only quote unquote offense. They woke up within Nigerian space, trying to do their best. They too had plans of what they would do this particular Friday that the Almighty has permitted us to witness. I will also go further to say I give kudos and credit to the community who, upon receiving a certain scurrilous letter, rejected the notion of being indoctrinated by what we are being told are Mahmuda brand of terrorists. They said, we will not take your ideology. And they went ahead and did what we have all said people should do. When you see something, say something. They went and reported. Okay? So these are things that are expected. What do we hear happened? There is a similarity in this story that is very troubling. That there had been some soldiers stationed there before, but that shortly before this time, those soldiers had been withdrawn or redeployed or something. Does that sound familiar? I
Very.
understand that the terrain from wherever the military were stationed to this location is relatively difficult to traverse, and that apparently there were IEDs put in place to block the approach of people. But these are just background to say, according to this story, not just on this report, up to or around 200 people came to do this attack. Ayo, 200 people can literally fill up a jumbo 747. And if you have watched a movie or if you have boarded a flight, you know that is not a small number of people. It takes quite a long time to fully board a flight and get settled.
Right.
200 odd people arranged themselves and came to attack. One of the most annoying parts of this story is where Lawan Ahmed is praising the president after 170 people have been slaughtered for sending troops there. Is there no irony? Is there no such thing as preempting these kind of things? How do 200 people arrange themselves? And as I round, because I'm conscious of time, that this story is worthy of an entire show of its own, but we have other stories, and so I will cut it short at this point. We heard earlier this week that the presidency bought 34 billion naira worth of forex for foreign junkets, with emphasis on the first four letters, junk. I am a personal person. With a pittance, I can get a consumer drone that can stay aloft for around 30 minutes, to survey a project site and see the cost of a highway and so on. I can't imagine, not being a security person, what military technology in drones can do. I would wager that it is possible to get a drone that can stay aloft for up to 4 hours or more. So for just 1, 2, 3 of them, you can have permanent surveillance over any part of the country for 24 hours a day. There are also attachments that allow you to detect concentrations of carbon dioxide. So if there are people arranging themselves inside and even under forest cover in a place that is not a known settlement or village, you should be able to point soldiers on the ground to go there, track them, and take them out when they are terrorists. But no, we are coming after the fact with all these silly statements of sorry. I'm sorry. This is just, final line, an example of why I say the presidency under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu does not display administrative competence.
Like you said, AB, this could be a show, an entire show on its own, but time is of the essence. But Mr. C has a couple of thoughts of his own he'd love to share on this part of this story here, Mr. C.
So I'm going to frame them in the form of questions for our listeners to digest and mull over in the course of the day. Question number one: where's the police, the Nigeria police force in all of this? Do they not have a station within or close to this area? How come they're not being mentioned? Second question: who gave the order for the military soldiers to leave that place? This is the second time, maybe I alluded to it. Now, third question is this, right? You dominated the area for 2 weeks and then they still attacked. Why? Why did you dominate for only? Who decided the domination would only be for 2 weeks? Then this story about the terrain taking about 4 hours. For the love of everything good, the Nigerian army has access to helicopters. Did they take their soldiers by helicopters and try to rappel them down into the community in time? because 10 hours is an insane amount of time.
10 hours is a long time.
In 10 hours, right, you can watch 6 football games. You can almost watch 75% of a TV series season. So it's really embarrassing. And when Mahmouda first came out, we were all playing kid gloves. See what they've gone through. When will the military get serious? And then where are the forest guards? Because Kwara State trained forest guards. Where's the NSCDC? So there are many questions concerning this matter. We do hope at some point we will start to see answers. Because, ladies and gentlemen, for as long as we don't get answers, we don't get proper reactions, proper articulated strategies.
Yeah.
Kwara, Kogi, and Niger have been attacked consistently. Those are the Niger North Central states. What's left for these non-state actors to conquer? The South-South, the Southeast, and ladies and gentlemen, the Southwest.
Ayo, 10 hours is long enough to be on a private jet, massaging a foot and getting to London. Go on.
You know, my take is simply that all of this happened after warning letter was actually issued. And this head of the community communicated letter to DSS, informed the leadership, local leadership of that area. And yet, we have the military writing statements that sound like propaganda.
Honestly,
it is not time for propaganda. This is not propaganda. This is not a matter of propaganda. This is a terrible security failing, that should be investigated thoroughly. To be investigated thoroughly and determine what actually went wrong there. And when the US says you're not managing the security situation in Nigeria competently, this just proves it. This is an evidence that it is so. The same thing in Kaduna, the same thing everywhere. So we cannot have people killed and then people make statements. Oh, how deeply they regret happening. Oh, how sad. Oh, how they dominated.
Rubbish statements.
It is not, the military should not practice propaganda on the lives of Nigerians. It makes no sense.
Security failing. And the scary thing is, not the first time we'll have such a security failing. Definitely not the first time. Doesn't look like it's going to be the last time as well. But still talking about security and Kaduna, Joseph, let's head over to that part of the country where Governor Obasani of the state on Thursday formally received all 183 residents of the Kurminwali community abducted by gunmen on the 18th of January, declaring that the safe return of every victim has vindicated his administration's quiet security-first approach to governance. He was speaking at the Government House in Kaduna during a reception attended by top security officials and the freed victims, marking the end of 19 days of captivity of these individuals. Well, the good thing is that all those who were taken captive, they've been released, they're back home, and they're safe. Now, the important thing on one hand is, the statements being made by the governor talking about the fact that the safe return of every victim has vindicated his administration's quiet security-first approach to governance. If that were the case, shouldn't this incident have been prevented in the first place?
No, it's not so, because he's not in control of anything. He's not the governor, he's not in control of anything.
But he's making bold statements.
Yeah, but he's making a bold statement because he's not saying the real things we need to hear. How did you secure the release of these persons? Was it that they stormed the enclave of these abductors and then got these people released? Or we're talking about a negotiated release of people, which implies that some money was paid. And if you're paying money to get people released, it means you're simply empowering these people, and they will know it's an incentive. They will go look for another vulnerable group and pick people from there. And then you go and negotiate quietly, as it says, quiet security strategy. What does it mean? A quiet security arrangement is what? Talking under the table with people, with adopters, paying money to get people released, then you organize the reception program for them, buy them clothes. that then give Ashebi to them. So we are not serious. The next thing he talked about is that he's going to talk to the National Security Advisor to ensure that there is a military base. How many military bases can we establish in Nigeria? How many? In every community? Can we spread our army in every community and build barracks everywhere?
One on every street.
So the strategic issue about managing security is not being addressed, which is rapid response. As Mr. C said, what does it take for the military to deploy? So the truth simply is that you have a military that is very careful not to lose personnel. So where they feel that they don't have the capacity to sustain any reprisal or a rebellion or a reprisal from these attackers, these people, they withdraw. They value their personnel. And that's why what happened in Kwara happened. After sitting down there for 2 weeks, for 2 weeks, they were attacked. From the report, they were attacked. And once they were attacked, they withdrew. So deploying people there became a problem for them. The same thing everywhere. When they feel their own lives are at stake, they don't go. It's as simple as that. So it's a tactical thing, that a tactical failure. The security approach is wrong. We are celebrating people. Yeah, I celebrate that we have been able to get people back. But how did they come out? And what is the consequence? What are the implications of negotiating and paying money to terrorists?
Okay, fun fact for our listeners. Kaduna State has the highest concentration of military formations in any state in Nigeria.
And you just wonder, I mean, we're glad that those abducted have been released, but the question that comes to mind is how long before we're at this table once again discussing the release of another set of abductees? That is something that we need to actually think about. All right, Abi, coming back to you right now, let's step into The Guardian. Well, the presidency on Thursday said that President Bola Tinubu's recent working visit to Turkey was driven by concrete economic and diplomatic objectives, noting that the engagement yielded commitments capable of boosting bilateral trade between both countries to $5 billion while deepening cooperation across key strategic sectors. So because I just wanted to dive into this because of time, I mean, all this sounds good on paper, but one thing that screams at me here is noting that the engagements yielded commitments. Commitment is that word that jumps out at me, AB.
Ayo, are you in my mind? The words that come from the headline, pathways, another word, commitments, a third word that lawyers online will know, MOUs, frankly meaning nothing. And it's supposed to deepen cooperation, okay? And it's actually supposed to enhance trade. But you cannot have a meaningful collaboration between a country as developed as Turkey and one like Nigeria when you have not done your homework to make yourself a worthy partner. Where is the power in Nigeria that will promote the industry, promote the logistics framework, promote the necessary ability to manufacture so that we can indeed shake our hands in this bilateral manner? All you see us doing is waving around flimsy pieces of paper without doing the necessary groundwork. And that is why I said, and I restate, that all these flights around the world, without doing the necessary work at home to enhance our ability to be a productive, participatory nation in these arrangements, is a waste of money and folly on steroids. It is the reason why I query the need to have bought 34 billion naira, I hope, not dollars, worth of Forex floating around the world, not in a hot air balloon, but speaking hot air up and down, without doing what it takes to make Nigeria productive. Nigeria once was a productive nation. We had companies, we had factories, we had contractors, but now all you hear about contractors are not paid. There is no light. From band A, you get to band Z. How are we supposed to be? And this president said if he's not bringing us power, we should not vote for him. That is folly because he has managed to focus on defections solely since he has been in office. So it doesn't matter who or not. And in the last story, which we may not have time to do, we have refused to have a transparent, believable way of transmitting votes from the point. So I'm telling you, I do not see administrative competence in the current administration. This has nothing to do with the person of the president. He is a long-time leader of Lagos. He was employed by Mobile, at one point. So nothing to do with him personally. His administration displays massive quantum of incompetence administratively. And just to add the last word, Ayo, just to add the last word, just the last word. Yes, we celebrate those 183. The story was 186. 3 are no more accounted for, but let's set that aside. The 183 that came back, sadly, for the 170 who are dead in graves, they can celebrate with us.
All right, Sunday from Surulere on WhatsApp says the behavior of the military is appalling. What is now the hope of the common man? What is the value of a Nigerian life? Can the military forces just say sorry when people are attacked and slaughtered, even with warning letters sent in advance? It seems the military has been given their own office in the propaganda annex. Absolute nonsense. All right, Sunday is not having it at all this morning. Ajay Lulilua in Magodi Jerry Sherry says, good morning to you and the fine gentlemen in the house. The carnage going on across the country is as a result of the absence of first responders, which ordinarily should be the community and local government police. The president's giving marching orders to a military unit that will take hours to arrive at a community under terrorist attack is a joke. No country is run in this abysmal manner. All right, Joseph, let me bring another story to you, the Premium Times. This one, very interesting. Well, Justice Antonio Novo of the Enugu High Court on Thursday ordered the British government to pay £20 million each to the families of the 21 coal miners killed in Enugu State in 1949 by the British colonial administration. Now, the news agency of Nigeria recalls that the massacre took place at the Eva Valley coal mine in Enugu on the 18th of November 1949, which was the administrative capital of the eastern region of British-administered Nigeria at the time. Remember what happened then? The miners were working in harsh conditions. There were racial disparities in wages and all that. So this incident, all the way back in 1949, we're getting this story right now. Joseph, can you make some sense of this one, please?
Well, I when I saw the story, it was quite interesting, and I felt I wanted to see how the British government was represented in that case, and who represented the British government as a lawyer that was thing, so that I'm sure that there will be a link to being able to enjoy the benefits of this judgment. But throughout the story, I didn't see any representation by the British government, unless there is something I've missed. Instead, it was the federal government that was, because the federal government was also as a party sued in this matter, and the Attorney General was represented. And the idea is simply to get the Nigerian government to be able to levy judgment on Britain through a diplomatic process and maybe able to negotiate something for the victims of this incident. But that being said, it's a matter of interestingly, the federal government actually was arguing against this whole case and saying that this happened during the colonial era, as if the federal government is supposed to be the one to pay this amount of money. So it's interesting to see how that judgment would be enforced. How do you enforce the judgment of this nature? And that's, for me, is where I really see what would be most interesting in it. Because, I mean, appalling as it is, they draw a parallel to what happened in Kenya, where some of the victims of the Mau massacre were able to get some benefits out of so many years afterwards. So let's see how effectively they're able to negotiate the enforcement of the judgment.
All right, thank you, Joseph, for giving us some clarity on that one. All right, AB, I think we'll be fortunate enough to have this conversation concerning the electoral bill. The Guardian is what we're going to right now, where a civil society organization, Yaga Africa, has described the Senate's rejection of electronic transmission of election results in the Electoral Act Amendment Bill as a betrayal of public trust. It observed that the action was a calculated effort to erode the safeguards put in place to ensure free, fair, and credible elections in Nigeria.
So, Abi, let me just say
Yes,
something before you start.
please.
The House of Representatives made it mandatory. The Senate says no. We're in a very interesting position.
I'll come back to
I
you, Mr. C.
want
But
to
AB, share your thoughts, please.
I want to go very quickly. A few years ago, the NBA actually started the trend among many professional bodies of doing electronic voting. And arguably, it has been very successful. Other groups like my Nigerian Institute of Architects have joined. Most sane organizations recognize the value and the fidelity of electronic voting. The House of Representatives, also containing I'm sure many members of MB and other organizations, said, let's adopt this in terms of let's move forward, let's use technology. Not a single member of the Senate doesn't have a phone, most likely 2 or 3 million naira phone, ATM cards, and many other electronic things. But in this one thing, where this could add to people's confidence in the electoral system, they elected or chose not to adopt it. This is because they wish to maintain a window of, I will use air quotes for YouTube, opportunity where votes can be tampered with. As I speak right here, the vote I cast in 2023 has not yet been uploaded to, what's the name of that platform? Instead, there are even some places where you will see tampered votes, where Tipex was used extensively. Biros were used to change the number 2 into the number 200. And there are even some uploaded pictures of goats, people, and other chairs. Why on earth, if I take my ATM card to any part of the surface of planet Earth and I put it into an ATM machine of any bank, the only account I access is my account? Why on earth do you not have a system where with my voter's card, even if I'm in Kafanchan on voting day, and I put in my card, it will bring up a ballot of River State or wherever I'm registered, and I can pick only those people. The person behind me who is from Yobe can put in his card and get his ballot there. Why don't you want to enjoy that benefit? Because you have in mind, you want to ensure, and I use the word ensure, the Senate wants to ensure. That doesn't surprise me based on the leadership of the Senate right now.
Right. Okay, Mr. C, looking at what you mentioned, the impasse that we have, how is this going to be sorted out or settled?
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, this happened in 2022, before the Electoral Act of 2022 was passed. The House was more progressive on transmission. The Senate then said it was dependent on clearance from the National Communications Commission. A conference committee had to be set up, which comprised of high-ranking members of both the House of Reps and the Senate, and that led to a compromise on the use of technology for the 2023 elections. So what we should expect in the weeks ahead is debates and proposed amendments flowing back and forth between both houses, between both chambers of the National Assembly, until they get to one of 2 points. They either reach a compromise, one side concedes, or it dies a natural death. Now, the challenge with it dying a natural death is we have an election either this year or next year. So something must come out. Now, it's inexplicable, it's extremely disgraceful that the Senate is opposed to mandatory transmission when the House has already agreed. So the Senate, so all the senators that voted against this, whose interests are you truly representing? If the people want mandatory transmission, it doesn't lie with you to deny the people of what they want.
All right, Joseph.
Yeah,
Looking at
my take is simply that there is a group that has come out to say the Senate did not reject electronic transmission of results. That in itself just tells you the question mark around the integrity of the Senate under purview. Because every time we have situations where we are not sure of what transpired on the floors of the Senate, what the senators agreed and what did not agree. So if a group of senators are saying what we said, what we agreed, what we voted is different from what is there, the same thing happened with the tax laws.
Exactly.
So when you have a Senate that is steadily, in short, has lost integrity, as far as I'm concerned. So because nothing is done transparently. The Senate, our National Assembly should be open so that we can know what is happening. Now, in other places, you know who voted for what and who voted for what. So we know who and who are those who are working against Nigeria. But they will recluse into executive sessions where they will not let people know what they are happening. And then at the end of the day, they are arguing about what actually was voted for.
Hence my reference to the leadership of the Senate, the prayer-sending leadership of the Senate.
All right, let me take your messages. Time has absolutely flown by this morning. Moj from Apapa says, good morning, everyone. President Tinubu and this government are grossly incompetent. And why should we want to excuse the president when he's the leader of said government? He has only shown political sagacity and failed woefully in what benefits the people, which is the economy and safety and security of the lives and property of Nigerians. I wonder where he's planning to travel to again. Is it where he is planning to travel to, or when, or where and when, Moj? Well, they all tie in together, really. All right,
because it's going to happen anyway.
For sure.
Leko in Lagos says, morning crew, this rubber stamp Senate led by Godswill Akpabio will never pass this electronic transfer because they know it will affect them from presidency downwards, because the process that brought all of them in can be said to not be free, fair, and credible. And I'm going to cut the other part out, Leko. He says, let me see. Also remember, they all said on his mandate they will stand. That is why Nigeria is the way it is and behind serious countries in the world. It's a shame. The worst of us are ruling the best of us. Truly, there was a country. Leko, I don't know why I have to always edit your messages when I read them. Give me more work to do. Emeka Onelum says, think about this. When you come into a house through a back door, will you agree for that back door to be closed? That's the thought of our political leaders as we speak. Interesting perspective there. All right. Your feel-good radio friend in Yenagua, he's on YouTube. He says, I agree with Mr. AB. Total lack of administrative competence shown repeatedly by this administration. Here's a question that needs an honest answer. What is the value of the life of a Nigerian? Well, we've asked that question so many times at this point, it feels rhetorical, but even though I know it's not. All right, we need to go. Thank you so much for your messages. Very much appreciated. Always, Mr. C, AB, Joseph, always a pleasure having you on the show. AB.
Thank you. Again, it's hard to fathom 170 of our brethren gone for little or no reason. Normally, I'm very bullish on our military. In this instance, the military does not appear to have done the very best work they could. We mourn. As a nation, things should be flown at half-mast. Can Mr. President please sit down and do the work he ostensibly was elected to do? You guys have the best weekend possible under the circumstances.
Thank you so much. Joseph.
Oh, well, thanks, B. Thanks, Ayo, Mr. C. Thanks so much. And we make a good team all the time. So, and also the team is not complete without the listeners who come in with their very good perspectives. I wish everybody a wonderful weekend. Stay safe, please. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Stay safe out there, Mr. C.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you, AB. Thank you, Joseph. Thank you, wonderful listeners. I do sincerely pray that this weekend nobody's forcefully taken into captivity or abducted, and that nobody's unlawfully killed, and that we stay safe and we all resume on Monday. Take care.
Amen to that. Take care of yourself and have a great weekend. All right. Thank you all once again for being a part of the show. Freshly pressed on Smooth 98.1. Smooth Breakfast will kick on 8:15 a walk into the world of sports and looking ahead to the weekend in the locker room. My name is Ayokunmi. This